Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man!
All right, episode 95 of Shirt Show. We're gonna do a recap of our time in Atlantic City. Let's go!
What's happening?
Oh, recovering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically recovering from the sound of the slot machine music, you know, that whatever the fuck.
Slots and cigarette smoke.
And cheesy music playing too loud. And one more thing, the stress-inducing carpet patterns that they have there.
True.
You know what I mean? That's like crazy colors, and I don't know why they did that, but they did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I just got back 2 hours ago, so you've had a little more recoup than I have.
Yeah, so I can see it. I can see it in your face, in your eyes. I can tell you're still like
Despair.
the ringing of the like the casino life. You know, is a certain life. It's a certain life.
So descriptive.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody's been to a casino and everybody knows what I'm talking about. You forget a little bit. Like you're not there and you're like, oh, cool, a casino. But then you're there and you're like, there's this, you walk, and especially, you know what the worst is like when you walk through to go get coffee at like 9 a.m. or whatever. And you see
the same people you saw last night when you went to bed.
And the look in their face is like despair.
Yeah. Me and Steven were talking about it yesterday. We were walking through the casino and I was like, dude, I'm so over this right now. And he's like, just saying like, yeah, I can't imagine the people that kind of like do this every weekend, or like the amount of old people you see just like spending their social security checks, or just lonely as fuck. And it's just depressing.
Yeah.
It's fun. Don't get me wrong. Like we had a lot of fun for like 2 days, but after that, you're just like, get me the fuck out of here.
I was just going to say that, like, it was sort of fun. Like we actually did, I think that first night after dinner, we went and gambled with Frank, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We sat down, or actually the first thing we did, or I did anyway, with Frank was so I walk up to the roulette table because that's what he says. Hey, let's start here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I put 3 chips. It was like the $15 minimum, you know? So I put 3 chips in on the numbers and one of my numbers hit. Boom. Should have left, should have been done. Should have got the fuck out of there. Right. But I won $185, like the very first thing I did.
Yeah. Like, what was it? The second day we were hanging out late that night and I was at the roulette table with AJ. And I don't know, I started with like $100. I was up to like, I don't know, like $200 or $300. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to start putting it on black. So I put like $300 on black, won. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to put, everything on black again. And AJ looks at me. He's like, dude, you just won like 3 times in a row on black. You sure you want to do black? Like as it's fucking spinning. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I should put it on red. Pushed it all to red, lost it all. Mm-hmm. And then I just gave him that death stare. And he was like, I'll give you a discount on your supplies next time you order.
Yeah, he owes you like, I don't know what, ink, a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, check. Hey, I like your sweater. Allison, are you listening? This is us being creepy.
It's a sweatshirt. It isn't a sweater. It's a Bella canvas.
What's the fucking difference?
Well, isn't a sweater like a sweater?
Sweat turd?
So yeah. See, now there's a difference. A sweat turd and a sweatshirt.
Dude, so many sweaty turds.
No, there's a difference because one is called a sweatshirt and one is called a sweater.
I don't like it when you say it like that.
Yeah. Well, because one is sort of like, I would say one is fancier.
When you say like sweater, I think like it's button up, like it's a cardigan.
Well, you're wrong. That's weird. You know how many people actually come in to the shop sometimes? They're like, "Hey, how much? I'm looking to get some sweaters," and I'm like, "We do not." Or like
sell your
sweaters
grandma
here.
knitted
it. Yeah, like we sell sweatshirts. Is that what you're looking for? I don't know what a sweater is.
Okay, sorry.
Well, I do know, but it's not. We don't have them.
I just figured that was like alpaca or something you had on.
Yeah. Llama.
Yeah, like how bougie you are. I figured it
Yeah,
was.
it's pure imported
Imported human hair.
Yeah, it was, oh, by the way, so this reminds me, we were walking through like the very first night when we got to the Hard Rock, there was that, what was the name of that? What was that fucking sweatshirt, Joanne? What was the name of that brand?
Yeah, I posted it earlier today. It was, I don't know. They were like those bougie brands.
Not Gucci or whatever.
No, it was Valentino.
Okay, yeah. So we're walking through and Joanne's like, oh, that's a cute sweater.
Oh, I really like that sweater.
And we all passed by and then we went up stairs or whatever.
We did some stuff. We did some stuff. And then I met up with you later. And as I walked by the second time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to buy Joanne this hoodie. She fucking wanted it so bad. I was like, I'm just going to go buy her this sweater. Like, I was thinking it would probably be like, I don't know, like $200 or whatever. I was like, it's a hoodie. It's supposed to be fucking Valentino. It's probably expensive. In my mind, expensive was $200. I was like, I'm going to throw down $200 on this hoodie, get it for Joanne so I can impress her and steal her from Andy. And I go in there and I'm looking for a tag and I can't find a tag. And this dude comes over and he's like, hello, sir. Can I help you out with this? And I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to like see where the price tag was. He's like, oh, you didn't see it? I was like, no. And he like reaches down into the head of it, like the neck of it. And the tag's like super low hanging in there. Like I couldn't see it. Pulls it out, fucking cups it in his hand and like shows it to me. He won't like, he's like, and this is how much it is. Like he wouldn't fucking say it. Like, dude, have the balls to tell me how much it is. Shows it to me and just like presents it in his hand. Fucking it's like almost $1,300.
Yep.
For that hoodie with a shitty white print on the front.
So did you get it for her?
I told him to fuck off and then I walked out. I was like, you are fucking kidding me.
And dude, like every time we passed it by, the rest of the like time we were there, I always looked in there and said fucking stupid because it was probably like a Bella Canvas tearaway label. Yeah. And then they just printed the like
it was like VLT, whatever.
Yeah, a couple letters. Front. That's it. Screen printed.
Yeah, it was VLNT in like fucking Times New Roman font on the front.
Right. So we're gonna make one here.
$1,400 sweatshirt.
There we go. $25.
So stupid. I have a quick story for you.
Okay.
Sunday night, I went to Buffalo to see the midnight that show.
Yeah.
And I got home at 3 a.m. So Monday morning, I got home at 3, went to sleep for 3 hours, got up at 6 to take the kids to school. So after I take the kids to school, normally my routine is to like pull out of the school, take a left and go to like either Dunkin' or McDonald's, grab a tea and a breakfast sandwich. So I fucking go to McDonald's and there's like 2 cars in front of me, probably like 2 or 3 cars behind me. And I'm fucking like, again, I'm like super tired. I drive up to the first window and I'm like, I just hand her my card like normal. It's like, oh, pay for my meal. She brings it out, hands me a receipt. I'm like, all right, cool. Fucking set it down. Go to the second window. And the lady hands me 2 coffees. And I'm like, I didn't order coffee. And she gives me this look. She's like, well, what did you order? And I was like, I ordered sausage, egg and cheese, English muffin and like a large unsweetened iced tea. She's like, okay, let me get that for you. And she gets it, hands it to me. I pull off and I'm getting ready to pull out of, like into the road. I realized I never fucking ordered. I had never ordered the food. Like I skipped the part where you order food, paid for someone else's meal, went to the next window and just demanded food and left.
And totally jacked their whole like line.
Oh yeah. Everyone behind me had to have been fucked. So I stole from McDonald's. So apparently you can just drive up to the window and say what you want and they'll give it to you and then drive away.
Well, did you do the right thing and go back?
I did go back the next day and I said, hey, like I ordered again. And I was like, hey, yesterday I, did this thing. And they were just like, oh, don't worry about it.
That was so nice of you. I did something really nice yesterday.
I doubt it.
I won't tell you then. Forget it. We'll move on.
Now you gotta tell me.
Well, our flight landed.
Wow.
And this entire time, it was only like a 2-hour flight, but next across the aisle from me was a lady and she was probably 90. You
put her out of her misery?
No, Dylan, this is like a good story.
You just
good
like
Samaritan
choked her out?
Story. Don't, shh.
This is a good Samaritan. And she was probably like, kill me.
So we land, and you know how everybody's like, when you land, every single asshole on the plane stands up, like we can get out fast or something.
Yes.
You know, and you're like, whoa, it's going to be a minute. Everybody's got to get
It's just a
their
line of swamp ass.
Yeah. And you've got to get your, luggage from up above and then roll it out. It's not going to take that long. We're all good. It's fine.
Exactly.
Like, it's just a couple minutes.
Just wait your turn, fuckface.
We were row 9, and then it came to us, and then I saw the lady there, and I knew that she was having a tough time. I said, hey, can I help you get a bag down or something? And she says, my cane is up there. So boom, got her the cane. And then I was like, anything else? And she says,
beat her to death with it?
No. And so
how could you?
Mute you. I'm going to mute you for a second. We're going to tell the story with you muted. And so I get the bag. She's got like this bag from under the chair, and meanwhile, the lady like to my right, I think, is burning like holes
in her body.
Fine. Yes. She set herself on fire because she was so fucking impatient. And then I got this, I got the thing, and I put it around her shoulder, and I helped her out, and she got like, when we turned the corner to, go up the, whatever it's called, there was persons there waiting for her with a wheelchair, and they helped her get in it. And then I went and walked, and John and Logo Daddy John and Julie, they were on the same flight, but they were seated, way further back or something. And I waited for them. We started to walk, and the girls went to the bathroom. And this dude came up to me and said, hey, thanks.
My mom said you touched her inappropriately.
Fuck off, Dylan. I should have fucking muted you. Never mind.
Sir, my mom says you touched her.
You remember when you told your boring ass piece of shit story about the McDonald's thing? You remember that?
That's a great story.
Mm-hmm. Well, did I interrupt you, or did I just let you? Did I say, and you shot the lady in the face?
Whoa! I wouldn't say that. That's not nice. Don't you miss me already?
I don't. I do. And I don't. I said I don't at first because that's my gut instinct, and that was nice. But you know what? Let's do some sponsors.
Sure.
Frank. Should we talk about Frank for just a sec? That's sweetheart of a man.
Sweetheart of a man.
First of all, the very first encounter I had with him at Caesar's Palace, is that what they call it? Caesar's something?
Caesar's, yeah.
Caesar's in Atlantic City was all of a sudden an arm came across my head and face, and I got squeeze hugged really, really hard.
Right. After he hugged me.
You just can't let it go, right? You have to. I bet
it was an amazing hug. Some nice warm
embrace. You're saying I got seconds? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, it felt really good, and it was great to see him. Mm-hmm. And I thought, we were going to have this like smaller dinner, and it kind of grew. You know how that does
every time,
every single time. And like we talked about last week, we're going to try and pay for it and all, but nope.
He would have murdered us. He would have straight drowned us in the pool.
Yeah. So we paid for it. The guy paid for it. It was like, and all of everything, like also the meatballs. He got the meatballs.
Amazing meatballs. A meatball.
I noticed how when they were bringing out the meatballs, you were like right here. Like you were like right.
I had one. Here. I had two on each side. Justin, I was gonna hand him down the table. He's like, "I know you're eyeing it. Go ahead." I fucking ate it. Delicious.
This is day one. We should say, okay, so I don't even know. Like we're doing sponsors here.
Yeah, we're talking about Frank here.
We're talking about Frank. We're gonna talk more about Frank.
I got my fresh palette of restretches from Frank while I was gone, so that was wonderful. Yeah, a little pat. Thanks,
well, it all starts with a screen, and whether it's new stretches or restretches, Frank and his team absolutely 100% fucking do it the best.
Yes.
You like that? I ad-libbed that.
Absolutely.
To find out more, go to graphicscreenfashion.com, FFFFF.
Rank.com.
Yep. Or
GreatFuckingScreens.com.
100%. Next, we have Easy Way.
It's the easiest way.
Well,
And done.
No, I have to say, look,
We
cleaning
missed
screens.
the fuck out of Alex in Atlantic City.
I
It
mean,
was not the same without him.
I texted him. I actually called him. We actually talked voice. Did he call you? I didn't think so. So cleaning screens is no fun, but Easy Way makes it funner. Their line of eco-friendly chemicals will help you keep your screens and your shop clean. Check them out at easyway.com. Easy Way.
It's the easiest way. Again.
Yeah. You know what? He was in South America, I think, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we couldn't make the show, but we did miss him.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Action Engineering makes all kinds of accessories printers need. Go to actionengineering.com to have a look. And then use Shirt Show at checkout and get a one-time discount of
15% off.
Yeah, it's 15.
Mm-hmm. Get some fresh pallets. Or squeegees. Or carts. Or carts for your carts.
Mm-hmm. Monarch Color makes ink that does what it's supposed to do. Learn more at monarchcolor.com. Ink better, print better, be better.
Live Moss.
Monarch.
Monarch.
Today's guest is Dylan Gilligan from Upstate Merch in Whitney Point, New York, and Andrew Rudman from Shirkong in St. Louis, Missouri.
You're so beautiful.
Did that well, didn't I? I knew those names. I didn't have to. Didn't have to think too hard about that. Before we get started on, like Atlantic City and what we thought about it and all that kind of stuff, I have a correction. I misspoke. I talked about REI and how it was a co-op and it was owned by the employees. Wrong. It's owned by its customers, which also, I guess, as an employee, you can be a customer. And so for $30, you own part of the company. $30, $30, you own part of the company. You're not paying attention.
Yes, I am.
For $30, you own part of the company. You get one vote on the annual board of directors, election, and future dividends and discounts. So that's pretty neat, right? So
super neat.
It's sort of like, I was just trying to describe, like, if I won, I think I said if I won $1 million or whatever it was, the lottery, let's say $100 million. And I gave the shop to the team here, you're like, how it would work. And I think maybe co-op might've been the wrong definition, but something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Cool. All right. Day one, Atlantic City. We kind of started talking about what we did. We got there.
You got to Philly. I left New York at 6 a.m. so I could pick you up at the airport in Philly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I had just a couple hours of sleep, so we went back to the hotel.
Took a nap.
Took a nappy. Mm-hmm. And then now we were ready. Went to get food with Frank. Now we're back. Now we're back to picking up where we left off.
Mm-hmm. Well, before that, we got snack food. We got subs. I got a sub, and I shared with you.
That happened?
Mm-hmm. Remember my turkey sub you ate half of? You and Joanne?
Oh, no. I ate a quarter of it because you ordered a whole one, and a whole one meant 2
subs.
Basically.
From White House subs. If you ever had it, a whole is basically 2 footlongs.
Yeah, because they are fractionally correct. They take the 2 halves and they cut those in half. And so there's 4.
Mm-hmm.
But it's long as shit. It wasn't a foot. Like, this was 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Am I
so
wrong?
I gave you and Andy one. Or yeah, you and Andy. I gave you and Joanne one. And I ate the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really kind of you. You're just... like, you're an all-around generous person. Like, you were going to buy Joanne a sweatshirt to steal her away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And basically probably gave her that sub to do the same thing. You know a way. Like, that's the way to, if you know Joanne.
It's a way to her heart.
Yeah, she needs just a few things. And you covered just like
warmth and food. Right.
Right.
And then then we went to Gordon Ramsay's and sat at the bar for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I downed like 5 iced teas.
Right.
And then Mini Frank showed up and we hung out with him. If you guys didn't know, Frank has multiple Franks that work at GSF.
Which is smart. Like, I need to hire a bunch of bandies, like mini me's.
Mm-hmm. And we hung out with Frank and his crew and Justin Moore and his crew from Barrel Maker.
Yep.
We got to talk to his staff and talk about what they're doing.
And a couple of the PGMs too. A few of them, not just a couple.
Yep. And then afterwards, we decided to go downstairs. Oh, we also hung out with Mike from Anatol.
Yes, sir.
And then we went downstairs and gambled with Frank. And I played roulette, and Andy and Frank played roulette. And you guys played poker for a while too, didn't you?
Yeah. So like I did pretty good at roulette. I gave some of my winnings to Joanne, and then Frank and I went over for some blackjack. And I went on a terror. It was like I was counting cards. It was like Rain Man or something. And I could have like all of a sudden the mob bosses were saying, "Who the fuck's that dude?"
We never got that Rain Man photo we were talking about taking.
I know. But and so once they recognize that you're winning, then they just take it all away from you.
You got strong armed out
immediately. And so that's what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we pretty much went to bed at like 12:30 or so. Was it earlier night?
Yeah, it wasn't too late. But this was before the show started.
Yeah, the
show
was
Thursday. Yeah, this was Wednesday, and the show was the next day.
So Thursday we get up in the morning and I go to Starbucks, get tea and all that stuff, and then I meet up with Andy, and then we get Starbucks again, and then you drank your coffee shot, whatever the hell it was, and then we went to Starbucks again.
Yeah, we needed energy,
Right. So then it was about noon at that point, and we made our way to ISS Atlantic City.
Sure did.
What did you think of the show? First impressions.
It looked pretty good. I mean, I had never been to an Atlantic City show, so for me,
you liked the convention center,
dude. So it was beautiful. Like, in the restrooms were some of the nicest restrooms I've been in ever in my life.
And we made a pact that we had to go to the restroom together every time.
Yeah, we realized that the girls have it figured out. Girls, they go to the restroom together, and then they leave the restroom together. And so you and I went to the restroom together, and you left. You fucking just left me in there to get knifed or whatever. And I came out and I said, "Hey, Dylan, here's how it's going to go down.
Don't ever leave me again."
Yeah, the rest of this trip, we go to the restroom together, and then if you finish first, I wait. No big deal.
That's what she said.
If I finish first, you wait. That was a good one. If I finish first, you wait, or whatever, vice versa, right? We wait for each other because that's what you do. And then when you're coming out, I'm saying, "Hey, Dylan, you got some toilet paper caught in your mouth or something."
Whoa.
And if I have something going on, well, then you let me know. That's how it works. The girls have it figured out. And so that's all. I
also love that we were in there and we thought we were alone, and we were talking super inappropriately about the Yurtles. And then Charlie was in there.
Oh yeah. Charlie. But yeah. And so, but people, I mean, look, it doesn't matter about, maybe it does to me, but it doesn't matter about the urinals. It's what's inside the convention center. Is there stuff to learn from? Is there equipment that you want to see? Are there people that you want to network with? This kind of stuff. And my first impression was there was a lot of stuff. It wasn't bad. I mean, I know in your years prior, it's probably like about half of what it was right now because we're still coming back from COVID and all. But there were a lot of fucking people, and there were a decent amount of vendors. So yeah, it wasn't like Long Beach. I don't know that it ever is, though.
No.
But there's definitely some stuff to see and check out, and so that's what we did.
Yeah, we kind of went through the show real quickly, and then we ended up going to the M&R booth, and I feel like we were there almost all day. Other than we went over and talked to Anatol for a while. But I had a lot of really good conversations with people, just like other shop owners coming through the M&R booth. Like, we weren't there. We didn't have to be there by any means. So we were just hanging out there because all of our friends were hanging out there. But I talked to so many people about like different stuff, like, oh, what auto should I get? And, I'm debating between multiple places. And the one was, I think it was the next day, but we were talking to that kid about how he wanted to go from his basement, like printing manually, to buying an auto and getting a new storefront or warehouse or something. And then we talked sense, and we're like, dude, like maybe slow it down and go about this the right way. Cause I feel like he was going through multiple vendors to see like, oh, I want this auto or whatever. And I get where he's at. Like I was there where you kind of want to just like leap forward and jump into the industry and be like, all right, well, I'm sick of this basement thing. I want to grow. And you're like, all right, let's get the storefront, get this auto, get 2 employees, like all this other stuff. And it's like, dude, slow down. Like you're going to go in too deep and you're not going to be able to afford it or.
Right. And this
whatever.
guy you're talking to, and I'm bad because I don't remember his name, but I do know that he has a YouTube channel, and like, it's a pretty nice YouTube channel. It's called BAAV, right? Hang on a second. He's 22 years old. He's in his basement, just like you said. And he's got this really nice manual shop. He makes videos that a lot of fucking people watch. It's called BAAV Productions. And he was exactly what you're talking about. He's like getting ready to make the leap, go out of the basement. And, he wants to automate. And that means that you can't really be in your house anymore, unless you have, like a certain setup, like something like a shop you could build out back or whatever. And so
Right.
he's kind of have to do it all at once. It's kind of a scary thing. You've got to you have to purchase an auto, you have to sign a lease, and then you have to get a compressor and all those other things, and so it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But he sounds anyway, like he's doing the, right. He's got this, he's documenting his process on YouTube, and I mean, it's pretty cool. And so, yeah, we talked to a lot of people like that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike you, how you said you didn't have to be at the booth. They really don't want you there. For me, though, they wanted me to be there. And Tom was like, hey, please stick around our booth. We really, really want you here.
I was bringing it down.
So I hung out there for quite a while, and actually it wasn't that day.
We talked a lot of shit with Jimmy. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like at one point, he was printing on the Rival, and I was wearing one of those shirts that he printed. And I was like, yeah, man, like this, somebody came up to me and said, like, who printed that shirt? And it fucking sucks. So, gave him shit like that all the time. But, it was a cool shirt. And actually the Rival is, for those of you who don't know or haven't seen it, it is, and you're going to probably have to help me here because it's global. It's called M&R Global.
Yeah,
right?
M&R Global. Yeah. They're presses that M&R sells overseas for the most part.
Mm-hmm, right. And they have decided to bring them to North America, and they have put Jimmy on task to just make it better. And so that's what he's doing. And that's what we got to see
It's just originally set up to be for the standards that are overseas, and bringing it over here means, switching a lot of things up, like putting M&R pallets on it and like the standard pallets that we're used to over here, and changing some things up in the control panel and whatnot. And we got to see it running. I saw it running at M&R a little while ago, but it wasn't quite ready. And at the show, it was awesome.
It was, and it is ready, and now it can tri-lock and all those sorts of things. I think it's going to price definitely below a Cobra and probably below or near a Sportsman.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing.
But it's compact.
I'm going to be honest. It was a way better press than I thought. I had never seen one. I didn't know what to expect. It's beefy. It's smooth. It's really fucking
super smooth.
Yeah. It has some neat features and functions, but of course, everyone knows that it looks like a rock, and that's because of its origins. That's where it
It's the European style.
It's how it developed, right? Which is sort of like I don't know. It's a different. I think I understand the move or where M&R is trying to go with it, but I'm proud of the Cobra. I am proud of the Ecotext. I'm proud of my Sportsman. I'm proud of my 3140. I'm proud of my fucking everything I have here. But I don't know. Like I said, I can print on that machine, it looks very capable. But I don't know how I feel about it. I'm being honest. This is why, because M&R are fucking innovators, and I don't want them to be accused of not being in this case, and that hurts. And so
it's a little tinge for you.
Yeah, I don't like.
I don't know. I personally looked at it because I want to put equipment in my shop that makes sense. And again, a lot of the times when I talk about stuff on here, I'm talking about my shop, and I do have some space limitations in my shop because I own the building. I don't want to move. So I want to make things as efficient as possible. And I have my original first auto I bought was my Sportsman. And I've probably had that thing for 6-7 years now. And there's nothing wrong with it at all. I just look at the Gauntlet and how it's heads down and how smooth it is. And, I kind of want to upgrade my Sportsman. So I'm like, all right, well, if I sell that, a Rival makes a lot of sense to put there because it's more compact, and I could put a 10 color Rival in the place of my 8 color Sportsman.
Gain 2 colors. Yeah.
Yeah. And it takes up the same amount of space, and it's heads down, and it's super fucking smooth. So I'm kind of, like I said, I want to replace it with a Rival, and I'm excited about it. It is a different style press for sure. Like, it's got different squeegees and flood bars, which is fine because we'll just keep it over there.
Same screen size though, and things like that.
Same screen, yeah. And so, I mean, it's
same pallets.
You're going to have M&R service and support and everything you would have with any other press. Right. So I'm excited about it. I mean, it is different. It does have that European style that looks like MHM, and it also looks like rock, but it's beefy as fuck. It's like welded steel. It's solid.
100%.
So I'm really excited for it. I'm in talks of, possibly getting one. So we'll see how it goes, but it's a new thing. It just came out, like, literally this was its first appearance. So we'll see how it goes.
Right. Well put.
Yeah.
Well, and as the afternoon progressed, then at 4 or 5 or whatever, towards the end of the show, then there was the M&R Blue Crew first ever, right? M&R Blue Crew meetup, and the first happy hour in a couple of years for M&R. And it was a total success. Like, it was a party.
It was awesome. Yeah. Real good appetizers and good drinks, and it was packed. And it was a real good time. Got to see a lot of people there. There's a lot of M&R people. There's people from everywhere, though. There were rock people there. There was Anatol people there. It was just
it was totally open.
Anyone and everyone who just wanted to hang out and talk and shoot the shit and drink. So thank you, M&R, for putting that on.
Yeah. You didn't even have to screen print. You could be a
bum off the street.
Yeah.
With a wristband.
Come on over. Let's hang out. Man. Talk about life.
And then after the meetup, we went back to, Andy was so gracious to make reservations at, I can never remember what that place was called. Was it like El Milton or something?
No, Molino, New York. Yeah.
It's a very nice place.
Like steak, pasta, type place.
High class place.
Yeah.
And they gave us a room in the back all to ourselves.
Private room with a private
sax player. I know, it was amazing.
Who, if you gave him enough money, he would play anything, like Metallica.
He played Nine Inch Nails and Metallica.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing. And this dude came in when we first got there and tried to tell us all the specials and like what was great on the menu and all this other stuff. And nobody understood a word he said.
That's all he did, though. Like, I think that's all he does at that restaurant is he announces the specials with this really thick accent.
Yeah.
He makes it all sound like amazing. You know what I mean? When he says,
I just remember everyone was looking at each other like, do you know what he's saying? I have no idea what he's saying.
I kind of did. I was picking it up. Yeah. I was figuring it
Ron
out, but
knew.
it sounded, and when he was saying it, I was like, man, I want that. And he was saying another thing like, I want that. Every time he
All
said
I heard
something,
was
I
like
wanted it.
meatballs every so often.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And then
oh,
he
okay.
left, and like that was all he did. Like, and then other people did the things. He just announced the stuff.
Yeah. And then the one dude comes over and he's like, oh, you guys want to try some stuff family style? And you were like, yeah, let's get this, and this. And the family style apps were enough. Like we could have stopped.
Yeah. No entrees needed.
Yeah.
Just kept bringing out everything. It was great though. It was fun.
Yeah. The meal was amazing. Everything about that place was really good. The wine, the food. We got to hang out with a bunch of friends.
Oh, actually, and we got champagne for the table. Like this. You couldn't even see the ends of the table. There were so many people in there. But we all did a toast. We toasted to
screen printing.
Yeah. Screen printing.
It was a good time. What did we do after? We just went gambling again, didn't we?
Afterwards.
Dude, this weekend is a blur. Like I have no idea what happened on what day.
Did we leave or did we
went gambling? Oh yeah, we went gambling with Nick and Marcotte and Steven.
Yeah, I was standing there and Nick Wood comes. I see him approaching me, getting closer and closer, and then he puts $100 bill down my shirt.
He was hanging out with us and he was like, well, we're gonna do this. So yeah, let's gamble here. And we're like, all right, yeah, hell yeah, Nick. And then he goes to the ATM, comes back with a stack of hundreds, puts one in everyone's pocket. He's like, one for you, one for you, one for you. And me and a couple people are looking at each other like AJ, and we're all like, what the hell are you doing, Nick? And I took a couple hundreds from some people and put them in my pocket. And I was like, I'm just going to wait until he's like awake again, or I'll, like
right. The next
day. So I come up to him at the show the next day and I'm like, here, Nick. And I like grab his hand and I give him $300. He's like, whoa, what's this for? I was like, Nick, this is your money.
I gave him mine back too. That it was tough. I should have waited till the next day, but I did it like a few minutes later. I'm like, hey, here's $100. Just play for me. Whatever you win, like maybe we'll split that or something. He's like, okay, man. But I don't think he won anything.
Such a good dude. I love Nick so much.
Such a great dude, and he always makes you feel good about yourself. Even he's the guy to call if you're down in the dumps or something. Give Nick a call.
Hype man for sure.
I actually emailed him the morning that we were leaving because the motherfucker like bought dinner the next night too. Like for I don't know how many people were there. I can't even count how many.
I think him and Steven split it.
Is that what happened?
I think so.
Well,
and if that didn't, sorry, Nick, I'm taking that away from you. And Steven, you're welcome. But I'm pretty sure they split it.
I mean,
well, they were pissed at us for covering the first night.
Is that okay? But yeah, so we ate that night was, we're kind of skipping ahead. So that was day 3, and man, day 3, you know what I would call like day 3 was basically because we had covered the show, we pretty much knew the show, and yeah, we hung out at the M&R booth for a lot of day 3 too, but that was when the Girl Mafia were speaking at Ink Kitchen. And so they all went, like there was 5 of them, maybe 6, I can't remember. And they went up and talked to Rick.
No, that was really good. And a lot of people came for that. So I'm very proud of them for doing everything. And it was funny too, because Rick was like, it's a touchy subject. They were talking about how they feel like women are, kind of underappreciated or not shown as much in the industry or taken seriously. And Rick was trying to navigate it as best he could. And the best part by far was when Christina pulled out the lightning bolt dagger and said that they were for murder. So that was amazing. And
yeah, I mean, I think that it's true. This is a male dominated. Maybe dominated is the wrong word, because it's not like I don't think that most men.
There are a lot of women in this industry.
There are, but I don't think that most men are trying to like keep women out or anything even close to that. I'm sure there are some, right? That's just how it works in the world. But as a woman, like I think that they see it and they feel it and they experience this industry differently. Obviously they do, and so they brought stories of how sort of they were treated and how they're treated sometimes. And it's really good to hear that kind of stuff. And so, the Print Girl Mafia, we had them on the show a month or so ago, and they sort of talked about what they're about. And,
And they're all our
it's
friends.
just, they're all our friends, and and what's great is like it's growing. And so they actually had a booth there, right? And so they had a booth where if you wanted to go talk to them and join the group, well, then you could do that and get like feel like part of a group. Because I was talking to somebody, and she was like, while like right when that talk ended, and she was like, it's really cool because as a woman, like I would come to these. I came to one of these conventions before, and I didn't know anyone, and I'm here by myself. And then you kind of just walk through and look at things and then go back to the hotel, and that's it. Now, you have this group of girls and you can identify with, and it's a really cool like support group, and not only just to share like we do with shop hacks and stuff, like, hey, I'm having trouble on finding a Richardson hat or whatever. What ink do you use? That kind of stuff. But also just, support in all the other ways it takes. All that support you need is just as being an entrepreneur. I mean, you and I and everybody, most people listening know what that's like. It's not easy. So
They're also trying to do some good too. They were saying that every show they go to, they're trying to find some kind of charity nearby too.
Oh yeah. Come on. How about that?
Yeah. Like calling SNS or San Mar or whatever and say, hey, there's a women's shelter or something in this area that needs help. Will you donate, whatever X amount of bags and shirts or whatever, so that they have fresh clothes and bags and whatnot. So,
right. But I mean, as nice as that is, the most important thing that they did is make this.
Hold on. It's their PGM logo pin, and it's covered in purple glitter. So I kept mine in plastic because glitter is evil.
And I got some new ink in New Jersey. It's gone. Hold on.
There's none of it left.
Mark.
Yeah. It just looks like you got a burn mark on your neck.
Yeah, I got Print Girl Mafia tattooed on my neck, of course. We were gonna cut the Mafia part off.
Just put Print Girl.
Yeah, but cut the whole thing. But that was, and which, by the way, I forgot to mention is Joanne. She was on that panel. She was up there in the kitchen.
Kicking ass, yeah.
Kicking ass. And she worked the booth, and so they answered questions. People would come up and they would make new friends. And so that was really cool for them. And then afterwards, after the whole show, then they also had a
meetup.
A meetup. Yeah, they had a happy hour at the same place. It was just easy. It was right across the street.
Yep. And that was that was really successful too. And again, got to hang out with a bunch of new faces. So that was great. So if you are a woman listener and you want to, meet up with some girls and talk shop with them and whatnot, you should hit them up. Was it at Print Girl Mafia?
Yeah, just at Print Girl Mafia. How easy is that? That's smart.
Then we did what? What did we do after that? We just
that's when that's when we walked over to Crafted Wing Craft Wing.
Oh yeah,
Wing Place. That's the meal that Nick and apparently Steven, which I didn't know. So Steven, thank you. I had no idea.
So me and John are sitting there, and we both were talking about how badly we wanted chicken wings because this is a chicken wing place. And the lady comes over to take our order, and me and John are both like, yeah, like I was like, yeah, I want 18 wings, mild, extra crispy. And then John was like, yeah, I want 18 wings, half, I can't remember what it was. It was like half barbecue, half buffalo or something. And she looked at him and she was like, if you do that, you have to do sauce on the side. And he was like, what? And she's like, yeah, sauce on the side. He's like, all right, well, whatever. And then we were talking, we're like, what the fuck is this wing place where they put sauce on the side? Doesn't make any sense at all. And they bring my wings out and they're like fully normal, like tossed in like mild sauce. And John's are dry ass wings with like 2 tiny cups of sauce on the side. And he's like, what the fuck? Why is yours sauced and mine isn't? So I guess if you order 2 different sauces, they don't sauce them. But
yeah, he didn't.
Really funny. He was very upset about it.
What did I get? I was going to get the Mac Daddy burger with Jimmy, we had just like, we made a pact. We're like, yeah, that's the burger we're getting. And then he changed it on me. I heard him order. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so then I got whatever he got. It was South Jersey's #1 burger, voted #1 burger. And it was pretty good.
I was sitting next to Amanda from Black Rifle, and we were talking, and she was giving me shit for how I ate my chicken wings. I asked for extra crispy. Like, I like chicken wings, and if they're extra crispy, I'll eat like a shitload of the wing, like almost all of it. But if they're like undercooked and they're like gooey on the outside, I was like avoiding the ends of the wing because they were just like gristly grossness. So she gave me shit, and then I watched her do the whole like grab a wing, crush it on the table, and just like devour it to where there's like tiny little bones left. So I was very proud of her for that. And then yeah, it was a good dinner, good times, good hangout. And then you know what I thought was funny at all these meetups or even at the show was there's always people that come up to us that listen to the show, and they didn't know. This didn't happen to me, but it happened to you twice, didn't it? Where they asked which was which.
Yeah. You mean our names?
Yeah.
They're like,
are you Dylan or Andy?
Yeah. I think because maybe they listen to it and not
but
watch
if you
it.
listen to it all the time, when you be able to like recognize the voice, it's like a radio guy starts talking. You're like, oh, that's that guy.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Apparently not, because they were like, are you the cool one? And I'm like, that is me. They're like, Andy? Yeah. I'm like, that's right. Andy. It's
right.
me. And that's basically how it went. Oh yeah. You know what was really cool is that they had a Cobra there with a digital squeegee. And so I got to see, it was like the exact press I have. And so I was able to see sort of how it would run and function with a digital squeegee on it. Because they take out, with the fogger, and they were printing water base, and they had 1, 2, 3. So they took out heads like I think it was 7, 8, and 9. It takes up three stations, or you know what I mean. But just to see that run, but what was really cool was that a couple of times I got to demo, that press, not with the digital squeegee, but just things about it. Cause there was this guy, Denial. What's his name from Denial? Do you remember? It's hard for me to remember names. I remember shop names way better than I remember.
Oh yeah. Yeah, me too. So thanks for putting
people's
me on the spot.
Names. He was a really nice guy. And we started talking, and somebody had told him that the Chili DX can't be controlled from the Cobra's print screen. And I'm like, wait a second, it totally can. I mean, well, you can't control the temperature. You definitely can control the time and things like that, because there's a button on there, you push it. So let's say you're printing and you stop for a second. You know how quartz, they cool down just a little, and so you want to heat them up, and you want to be able to preheat and before you start again. He was told that you can't do that, and that's not true. And so I showed him. I turned on the flash and I showed him on the screen how to preheat and adjust the time and everything like that. Because, some people, it's weird, you get information and sometimes it's misinformation, and you're trying to make decisions on what press to buy. And that's why it's sometimes the best to be able to be at a show and see it with your own eyes, like work,
That is the best part about the shows. If you're there for the show itself, is to just see the equipment running, and the people running it can actually like walk you through, like, this is why this is set up this way, or this is you face to face seeing it run.
Right. Which, by the way, there was 2 people that I met from M&R that I really hadn't. I think maybe I've seen them before, but I had no idea what their roles were or anything like that. But Cody and Matt, they were like not geniuses, like 2.
They're wizards.
Wizard. They're exactly a genius. Like if I called them a genius, it'd be an insult. They're like wizards. And they were there. They had these guys there. And I think they're like the newer, like a different generation. You know what I mean? Because, man, I don't know. They knew their shit. And me, in fact, Steven and I and Cody and Jimmy and Matt, I don't know, a couple of people were there. We got into this huge discussion on, I think it was on the Maverick, like on pre-treatment, and they had lots of thoughts, and they're working on lots of cool shit. So So
Can
yeah.
you share any of it, or is it all stuff they're working on?
I think Stephen Campus Inc. was asking, why can't, you know how when you pre-treat a shirt, there's a pre-treat. That's like the worst part of the process, right? Nobody wants to fucking pre-treat. It's just the worst. And so you can buy pre-treated shirts, but you're limited on like how many colors and all this stuff.
What
and
brands
so,
carry it? Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so you want to be able to pre-treat, I guess, at your shop, but you want it to be really, really easy. And so now what it is you pre-treat this giant rectangle on a shirt, and then you press it and you can see the rectangle basically. And that's not desirable. Like that's no good. Right. And so Stephen was like, hey, why can't one of the heads, or why can't you have a machine that, is in a print head, just like it is with the digital squeegee or with maybe the Maverick, the DTG machine? Why can't you print the adhesive, right where it's only like where the image is? And so like, let's say you had an image that was, let's say
you want to print pre-treat as an underbase.
Yes. Like, and you can go over, like you can spray, there can be some overspray by, like a 1/4 inch or even
like a
whatever, because it's clear
or something.
Yeah. Let's pretend it's clear. Like that everybody would be cool if there was like this is clear, outline. But then why can't you pre-treat, if you're talking about like the Polaris or something or whatever their new press is, why can't you load a shirt, have it index, pre-treat it, have it index, heat press it, and then have an index, and then, do what you got to do. I guess either digital squeegee or whatever.
What was the consensus on that?
I think it was that
too wet.
That adhesive clogs. That adhesive, it just doesn't behave like the inks do. You know what I'm saying? And so they have constant issues with it clogging. So I don't know, but it was a really good question, because that, like, if you could do that, if you could load a shirt onto the Maverick or whatever DTG machine, doesn't matter, and it could just pre-treat it there, I would actually buy a fucking DTG machine again. You know what I mean? Because it was such a hassle. Pre-treating is a hassle, and then having that square and dealing with that, is a hassle, and just everything else. And so I really like that idea, but their answers were like so in depth with lots of extreme knowledge that I was just really impressed. And so I really
those guys
like
are R&Ding like every day.
Yeah, right. Wouldn't that be fun to work there and do that shit?
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, though. They're in it all day long, and then someone like us comes along or whatever and says, "Hey, why can't you do it this way?" And they're like, "Oh, fuck, like that makes sense."
Right.
And then they try new stuff, and then they make it work for us. That's what, like you were saying before, like M&R are innovators, so they're working on that shit all the time to make stuff better. It's like making the Polaris or making whatever.
Right. I saw. For those interested in Reclaim, the options, right? There's the Ecotex. I think it's probably the most expensive option. It works really well. It's high volume. Those are some pros. Some cons are that it's really expensive. It's giant. It's ginormous. I don't know. I can't remember how big it is, but I want to say you're going to need like 30
it's like
feet.
20. I think it's 27 or 25 feet or something like that.
You need a lot of space. It works really well, no doubt about it. It's built like a tank. It's going to last forever, and you can absolutely, clean screens all day long with it. There's a Lotus Holland. I've never used it, but a lot of shops have it. It's less money. It uses brushes, which is different than the M&R version. There is the one that you have, the Blue Water. And it has a little different sort of philosophy, I guess, in that it's a dip tank one. And so, which I really like, because a lot of the problems with these auto reclaims are timing. Issues. Yeah, you're trying to time your reclaim, perfectly, and that can present problems. You can definitely dial it in like we have, but it's just, you have to stay on top of it. But the dip tank solution is really neat, and that's what yours does. And also yours has the Blue Water, I should say, has a drying. Yeah, like it dries. I don't know if it dries it all the way, but it gets it pretty dry, right?
Gets rid of all the like drips. They're moist still, but there's the drips are the issue. So that's why it gets rid of all the water.
Moist.
So moist. Moist and creamy.
Kind of moisty. But that's really neat because, in fact, I talked to Alex. I'm like, hey, can you build me a drying conveyor thingy? And he says, yeah, but you might as well, basically just sell your Ecotext and buy
Get my machine. Right.
And so, but what we did do is I've said this a few times is Frank built us some way better racks, and our drying has greatly improved. And so I'm going to see how that goes.
You went from horizontal to vertical so that you didn't have drips on your screen.
And not just that, but it's also spaced and everything. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But then I saw, and there's another one, and
there's a bunch. There's a CCI one. There's an Impro.
Yes, that's the one I was trying to remember, the Impro.
Yeah.
And then there is the Auto Blaster from Hydro.
You buy it at 1-800
Autoblaster.net.
.net.
Well, that'd be a website, not 1-800. So, but yeah. And it was there, and it wasn't, they weren't demoing it, although they had it set up and everything. I saw it and I talked to that dude for probably almost an hour. And so, I don't know. I just thought I would mention it because it was one of the neater things I saw there, because I know how everyone struggles with auto reclaim, and why I thought it was needed, because it's just priced low, for auto reclaim. It's $35K. I'm not endorsing it by any means. So don't go out and buy this and then say, Andy, this fucking sucks, I hate you. I'm just saying you may want to check it out as one of your options. And so I don't know your budget. I don't know what kind of space you have, because it's pretty small, but it just worked off the same kind of situation where you just put it in a dip tank, run it through the thing, it comes out the other end. What I was confused about is how you got rid of any sort of haze or staining, how it does that, but maybe they haven't figured out. So it's just worth looking at, is all I'm trying to say. Because we're trying to bring, stuff we saw, some cool stuff we saw. So I'd like to see it in action, in real world, in a shop somewhere. Just
that's the telling. Yeah. That's what everyone wants, is they want to know somebody who uses it.
I mean, oh yeah. And it can do one a minute. So, I mean, it just depends. What's your budget? And to what extent do you want to have it automated? And so I think that's sort of it too, is there's different levels of, automation with these things.
I think a lot of it isn't necessarily what's your budget, but it's what is it actually needed for? Are you just trying to do it because you hate cleaning screens and you just want to get your face out of it? Or do you actually need to keep up with a fuckload of screens a day? So something like that, I feel might not be great for somebody who's trying to do 100 screens a day. It might be great for the dude who's I'm in the shop by myself, or there's 3 employees and they just don't want to clean screens.
And you could easily run 20 or 30 through and way faster. You're saying, yeah.
Get your face out of it.
And, a lot of people, they're like, well, $35K, that's just way too, look, I'll just buy a power washer and bust these things out. But as you scale and as you get busier, I think, and also in these times where it's even harder to find, employees and keep them, and
it's one employee's wage for a year, basically. So if you can get that, then you're going to save yourself another employee, and it's going to pay itself off in a year. There you
go. So, I mean, maybe that's the perfect machine for you. It's definitely, like you said, if you're in higher volume and things like this, maybe it's not. And I don't know how, you can,
it's just good to see really more competitors and more options.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see anything there that, that stood out like that?
Honestly, I didn't walk the whole show that much. I was just more there to talk to people. I did walk by Saudi, and I've seen the laser a bunch of times, but just seeing it is always good. I do want to talk to them more.
I think you saw, wasn't it the Boner Maker 3000?
The Boner Maker 3000 is what we called it. Yeah. I do like seeing that thing. But other than that, I mean, we talked to Anatol for a while and checked out their press, and that press is pretty sweet.
They have a nice dryer. What was that dryer? A ceramic, or was it?
Yeah, IR? they were telling me about it, and they were saying that it was had ceramic heating elements in it, so that it had a more consistent heat, and it wasn't IR panels. And it was priced pretty well. It was sleek, and it had like recipes, and it had like a digital
Yeah, like a digital, it had a digital interface that you
Mhm.
could program recipes. I think it had a couple feet on the in feed, a couple on the out.
It's like 11
It,
feet long.
it was legit. Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect dryer for,
Mhm.
if you're running, actually, it was probably like the perfect dryer for that press. If I had a Volt with that situation with the one, the load offload is the same station.
Mhm.
You can pop up the seventh head or whatever it was there. But that dryer could definitely handle the volume of a single press operator. You know what I mean? And if you have electric, like if you don't have gas or something and you need an electric dryer, well, that's the one there. It wasn't forced air though, which I would be cautious about because
They did have an upgradable
right,
version with forced air.
right. And so you may want to look at that. Forced air does a lot for you, that forced air.
Yeah, it just depends on what you're trying to do. But yeah, that press in general, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that Anatol's making. That press had all digital print heads, so you had like a little digital screen with all your controls on the end. I thought it was cool the way that they make it all electric, to where the screen clamps on the side are kind of like a manual lever.
I didn't see
clamp
that.
the screens down on the side.
Huh.
It's just kind of cool seeing the way different companies make things differently. But it runs, I mean, super quiet, super smooth, so like no air compressor needed. It's cool. I like seeing what they're doing. The other thing that they do that I didn't realize is they'll custom paint anything. He's like, yeah, you want this press to be yellow? We'll make it yellow. Do you want it to be two-tone? You want like yellow on top and purple on the bottom? Like they'll paint it like whatever color you want.
Do you want it brown?
Well, what he was saying to me is like, you want to buy this dryer? I'll paint it blue. I was just like, yeah, well, that's cool. But yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff coming out.
And Frank was there actually at their booth.
Yeah, Frank was.
They had his screens, and he had that shirt that I demoed that talked about thin thread. That
I didn't get one either. Fuck.
Well, it's a pretty neat. It's on our Instagram. I posted it. It's like I did a side by side. I did a 158 standard mesh next to a 158 thin thread, and like the idea behind it is just a single stroke, because we always want to just do one stroke. We don't want to wait for a second or a third or anything like that. We want to print it one time and then move on. And so on your underbase specifically, thin thread, we think anyway, thin thread is the only way to do it, because otherwise, if you're trying to print in it with a single stroke in your standard mesh, then you're going to have to increase your pressure, and you're going to have to slow down your squeegee and all these kind of things you don't want to do. I saw this thing on Facebook just the other day, and they're like, hey, I'm getting pressure marks on my shirt. I tried rounding the corners of my squeegee, thinking that's like what's doing it or what's causing it, and it hasn't helped. I need help. What do I do? And honestly, the thing you need to do is to print with less pressure. And the best, fastest, easiest way to get to that is with thin thread. If you have retensionables, then of course tension is going to help you out, because you don't need to print with as much pressure. But thin thread is a really good answer. And so call Frank.
Frank thin thread would be best.
And no other don't fucking order. Are you kidding me? I didn't even know there was any other thin thread.
Yeah, only
that's
Frank's. It. But no, I mean, you made it, but like me seeing it from the outside, like I knew you made it, but like just seeing it there it's a really great representation to see what's possible and what those hydro screens or whatever are capable of. So yeah, you should definitely do your own tests. I feel like not enough people do that. A lot of printers out there, I feel like, just try to go with what they hear and not actually do their own tests. But like something like you did, like with that, is perfect example to show not only you, but like your staff. Like, we've talked about this before, but like me learning something, but I sit in my office all day, I'm not out on the production floor. I go out and say, hey, I learned this thing on the internet. Do it this way from now on. And they're like, fuck that. Like, that's not how I do it. I do it this way. But to be like, all right, so-and-so and so-and-so production manager, stay with me after work today. Let's do some tests. And then you're like, okay, like here's a hydro mesh screen and here's a standard mesh screen. Let's do some tests. And I can prove to you right now, like, this is going to be a better option for the shop and a better option in quality and everything else. And
Right.
when they can see the actual results,
And that's fun. Like that's fun as shit to do that stuff, you know, isn't it? And I think that, and like the best example of that is, you know, when we were trying to find what we thought was, we need a brighter white. We were blaming it on the ink. Like, this is this fucking ink's fault. I need a brighter white. Let's buy different, you know, a whole bunch of different kinds and see which one's the brightest. The truth of the matter is that you and I both know that if you could give us any white, basically, and we could make them look like each other, you know, by doing different things. Like we could, if you're printing your white right, you can make them look like each other. And so it's way, way, way more about how you're printing than the ink that you're printing. And so if you're having problems with an underbase white or a PFP trying to get your white bright, it's usually not your ink. Mm-hmm. Sure, there's some shitty ink out there. I'm not saying there's not. But in most cases, it's how you're printing it. And so, and if you get it, and, you know, and to compare one brand to a next side by side, it's pretty tough because there's different, you know, properties of that ink. And so you may have to, like, in other words, like if I had two different whites, I may have to print one with maybe a little bit different angle, you know, and so they perform differently. And so that's just what I mean. And I think that's what you were trying to get at too, is like, get those inks in your shop or whatever it is that you're trying to test, get them in your shop and play with it. Just like you said. And so play with your angles, play with your pressures, play with your squeegee speeds and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know, Peter, I was at M&R once and had a meeting with Peter Walsh, and he was kind of gave me an example. I'm going to butcher, but like, I think it was like an analogy of like, okay, you have a 4-color manual in your shop and you're trying to educate, customers or your shop or whatever. And they were like, all right, we're going to test these whites. And then you put 4 screens on your 4 palettes and you print each one, and the white looks different on each one. And they're like, oh, well, this white's better. Well, really, they were all the exact same white in the same screens, but the difference was the actual screen mesh or the squeegee angle for each one. So like the first one you print might have really low tension. The second one you print might have really high tension, but your squeegee angle is wrong. And then, you know, we did it differently in each one. And
the third one may have different EOM.
Right.
You know, totally changes the game.
And then you can look and be like, oh, well, this one's the best white. And you're like, well, actually, they're all the exact same white. When you say the exact same bucket, they came right out of the same bucket, just different. It's just different variables for each one are giving you different results. 100%. So it's 9 times out of 10, it's not the white, it's the variables. You're not looking at the screen. You're not looking at your angles. You're using dull squeegees and so on. So test that shit.
We saw Kevin from Chromaline. He actually had a seminar, and he recorded, or somebody did record. They put up a camera and recorded it, and he posted a bunch of the different like slices. What's the right word for that? Clips from that. What was it called? Seminar. Mm-hmm. And he put them on Instagram. And one of them that I loved was the coder. Because I made this mistake years and years ago, is that I was like, oh, I want my scoop coder to go from like edge to fucking edge, because I don't want to have to worry about the tape, right? That was it's good. Like, that's a good way to think. Like, I don't want to have to worry about taping this part. I'm going to code it from edge to edge. But guess what? When he said, made so much sense. He's like, so if you do that, your screens, the tension at the edges is higher than the tension it is in the middle. And so when you go to coat your screen, it's the EOM, or you're putting more emulsion down in the middle than you are on the edges. And so then when you go to expose your screen, well, then, you're exposing it.
You're overexposing the outside and underexposing the center.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so, like, another thing about these conventions are exactly that. No matter how experienced you are as a print shop or as a printer or whatever, you take one of those, I guarantee you, because I wanted to go to Kevin's seminar and we just didn't make it over there because we're pieces of shit.
We slept. We stayed out till 4. We were not making it in.
So next time, hey, Kevin, will you make yours later in the day for us?
Yeah, come on, Kev. What the hell?
wrong with you? But I want to, I was going to say, it's like, no matter what, if you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, if you're advanced or whatever, a master printer, if there's such a thing, sitting in on a class like that, you're just like, oh yeah, like, duh. You know, like there's so many things to know and learn that you forget sometimes, some of the
There's
basics.
always stupid shit too. You know what I mean? You could be like, I know how to code a screen, and then something like that.
Right.
Or, you know, they're like,
Right.
oh, use this little tool for this thing. And you're like, oh, fuck,
And-
like I've been doing it this way for years, and that would totally help.
And why does he know it? Because he's a fucking expert.
He's a guru.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. He is a guru. Yeah. I didn't mean to insult him by the expert part. He's actually a guru. Yeah. That's
Right,
what he is.
right.
And I'm not. Like, I there's too many things. Like, I know a lot. I know a little about a lot. I know a lot about a little. I want to know a lot about a lot. How do I get there? Like, that's one day.
Mm-hmm.
One day I'll be there.
That's funny. I won't mention the shop, but we were having a discussion too in the casino, and he was telling me how you'll know this conversation when I start talking about it, how they were using retentionables, but they didn't have a screen guy. And we were with Frank and we were talking about screens, and I introduced them, and, you know, I said, oh, just start getting, you know, some screens from Frank. But the part of the discussion that he was having issues with is that same thing, like you said, like you wanted to buy a scoop coder that was the full width of the screen so that you covered more and you didn't have to tape as much and whatever. It's the same thing when people are like, well, I have a 2331 screen, but I want to print a 20-inch tall print. Yeah, you can do a 20-inch tall print on a 2331 screen. But the problem is the same thing. You have to start really high on your screen. You have to start and you end really low on your screen. So your screen tension at the top is going to be different than it is in the middle, which is going to be different at the bottom. And he was like, yeah, we're just having issues with like registration, like all this other stuff. I was like, yeah, that's why. It's because I was like, let me guess, your registration is out at the top and at the bottom, but it's in the middle. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, that's why, is because your screen tension is different, like 3 different times through your print, because you're going from the very top to the middle to the bottom. I was like, we kind of figured it out to where anything over 16 inches tall, we do on a 2536. So that's why we have 2 different screen sizes, is because anything over 16 tall is on a 2536, so that the actual printable image is in the center of the screen and not on the outside where it's way higher tension. So that way we have, you know, better registration all over the place. So
you
that was
are a wizard.
Yeah. But yeah, it's stupid stuff like that, you know, that you like learn at a show, just having a conversation with some people at 2 a.m. in a casino while you're losing at roulette. That's why trade shows rule. Like, in my opinion, you know, we had a lot of friends come out to this one that don't normally go to trade shows or go to Atlantic City just because they wanted to hang out. And it's not, yeah, you could learn stuff in the seminars with Kevin or anybody, or you can learn stuff on the floor. But a lot of the knowledge is just like hanging out with people and being like, hey, I'm having this issue. What do you think? And then, you know, everyone chimes in. It's the same with like our text groups or Girl Mafia or whatever. It's like, just get in a group with a bunch of other people that are doing the same shit as you, and you can brainstorm and figure shit out. Like, how many times do we text in our groups and not get an answer? You know what I mean? Like, if someone has an issue, they text about it. Someone in that group usually has an answer. If not, everyone chimes in and we collectively figure it out together. I feel like that's why the trade show stuff is important, is to just educate yourself on a lot of different things.
Yeah, it all doesn't go down inside of the convention center. An equal amount goes on wherever else you are.
At
It
dinner
doesn't have to
or
be,
casino
at dinner, the
or
casino, or at a bar or
street.
whatever.
A back alley with boiled hot dogs.
A strip club.
Definitely.
You know, so I mean, there you go.
Yeah. Everything at the show was really good. As far as new stuff, we mentioned the new stuff M&R had, and the auto
That dryer. I forgot to mention that. They have that dryer that goes. Do you know
like
how that works? Because I don't. What does that mean? So like, there's one that goes. It doesn't go through it and through it and through it, right? They both just go through it one time.
I'm not totally positive, because there was one at one point where it kind of went through about twice, so that you could have space savings. Like, you'd have the same amount of time in the chamber, but it was more compact, so you could fit it in a shop easier.
Yeah, like if you didn't have a long enough shop and you need all of that time in that
Right. Like it
tunnel,
would be perfect for my shop because I would save myself a bunch of, feet on each side.
it looked really cool. I don't know what it was called. I guess it's a Sprint double decker.
Yeah.
Sprint 4000.
I didn't ask enough questions about that one.
Yeah.
But it was really awesome. There was a lot of new people that we met. There was people that we kind of knew on the internet, but met face to face.
Yep.
Or people that we had never met before that we met, that we hung out with and had a really fun time.
I saw Corey from Panther. Did you get to see him?
Well, we talked about that, how we saw Corey, but didn't get to talk to him because we were both busy talking to other people.
Yeah, I saw him and I was like, we actually shook hands. And then I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to catch up with him in a second. And then when I was done talking to whoever it was, I messaged him. I was like, where the fuck are you? And he said, I'm gone. I was like, piss. Okay, so I just asked Jimmy and he said it's called the 3000D. You know what that stands for?
Deep dick.
Don't you love me? Like I set you up for this stuff so well. Yeah, you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Did you ask him to explain what it does?
Oh. So he says he would not recommend it unless you're running digital inks. I don't know why. I guess it does. So I guess, in other words, it's not for plastisol printing. It probably is special for, okay, so it says made for long retention times for digital products. That's kind of what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you need it in the oven longer, that's what that's for.
Right. So you don't have a super long chamber. It's more.
Oh, okay. That's kind of why it was going slow. So did you notice it was just kind of like, like a turtle kind of going kind of slow.
Mm-hmm.
But so on, like if you did that to our dryer and it was going that slow, it would back up, right? So that's why they had two layers, is because that's perfect. Okay. That makes sense. Got it. Hey, so do you have any questions for me?
I just got back 2 hours ago, so I didn't really have time to think of a question for you.
Let's hear one.
Let's sit here until I think of a question.
Yeah.
I can't think while you do that. What was your favorite meal that we had?
I really loved that Rice Krispie treat from Starbucks because I was starving to death and I had forgot, when you forget, like I bought that way earlier in the morning and I'm like, God, I'm fucking hungry. And I look over there and all they have are like hot dogs for $20. And then I open my zipper and I'm like, marshmallow treat.
The best part about that was you bringing that up was that we were at the Anatol booth and I was standing on one side of the dryer and you were on the other side of the dryer and you just didn't say anything to me. You came over and reached over the dryer and handed me half a Rice Krispie treat.
And you're like, I love you.
Like, okay, this is amazing. And then I just ate a Rice Krispie treat for no reason.
And wasn't it moist?
Oh, so moist.
So good. Fresh.
Yeah, I figured it had roofies in it. That's why you gave it to me. That's why.
That was really good. That was just I'm a whore for some Rice Krispie treats. I got
another question for you. If you had an infinite budget, what's one item you would have bought from the show?
Digital squeegee. And I make fun of it all the time because I'm like, like it's not screen printing and all this sort of stuff. But seeing it there in action, I just think that obviously it worked. Like it does a good job, and it's it would be awesome to not have to print. Like if we ever had anything I would set that up on our 14 color Cobra. And I mean, you don't always have to turn it on. I mean, you can print one color jobs, two color jobs, whatever.
You just figure the actual like metrics of it out and be like, okay, it makes sense, money wise to be like anything over 4 colors digital, anything under 4 colors or any like certain quantities, there's got to be a scale to it to be like, okay, this makes sense here.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's an awesome tool. Like that's why I'm stoked to try to get it, is because it's another nerdy fucking sweet tool to add to the Upstate arsenal. So
yeah, I don't know. Probably that is, we'll see. Like that's my answer. I would buy that. Mm-hmm. What is next for you?
Like right now?
Yeah. What are you going to do next?
After this podcast?
Sure. Yeah.
Probably go home.
Mhm.
I haven't been home yet.
What do you mean? You drove from Atlantic City straight to the shop, and
Yeah.
that's where you're at.
Yeah.
Oh, dedication.
And I
over
sat
there.
here for an hour and a half waiting for you. And then we're doing this podcast.
Don't do that. Don't make people think that I was like an hour and a half late or anything.
You weren't. You were not. I'm not saying that.
Well, that's what you implied right there. People are like, "Oh, why was he? That's weird."
No,
Like,
you were texting me, being nice and courteous and a great friend, and said, "Hey, just a reminder, podcast today at 5:00." And I said, "Hey, I'm here now. If you want to do it now." And you said, "Oh, great. I'm at Trader Joe's. Let me go home, drop my groceries off,
Mhm.
and I will come to the shop and we'll do this earlier."
Yeah.
So I sat here and I waited for you. When you asked me what was next, were you originally asking what I was doing next for the shop?
No, because I don't care.
Okay.
So
next question.
Yeah, your turn.
My turn. I don't know if I have any other questions for you. I talk to you all the time.
I mean, kind of hurts my feelings. Okay.
What's your next
Well-
question for me? Because I know you got a couple.
Nope, I don't. I tried
That
to
was
think
it?
of some, but I
You
tried
told me
to
you
think
had
of some.
questions, and that was it. That's such a cop out fucking question. What's next?
I'm just trying to let you know how it feels. Like
You
I
fucking asshole. Made me feel
I
bad
spent-
for not having questions. And
I
your
spent
question was,
all-
what's next?
I spent all day trying to think of a question for you, but I couldn't think of one.
And you had what's next? You fucking putz.
No. If you had an unlimited budget,
You're asking me my question now. I do like that question.
How about this? If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, flight for sure.
That's a pretty good one. That's probably
Or Wolverine.
Probably, or what?
Or Wolverine.
I thought you said or an ovary.
Or be an ovary or make Ovaltine. Rich
I haven't had
chocolatey Ovaltine.
Ovaltine in a really long time. It's so good. Like I need some.
It's such a grandma drink.
Well, Ovaltine's better than just like cocoa, than like just chocolate milk, because Ovaltine has vitamins and stuff and minerals. Come on. Okay, so flying. You just fly.
Yeah, flying would be rad. Be like, oh, I want to go to Atlantic City. I just like, and I could fucking
That's kind
fly
of
myself
far
there.
to fly. I mean, that's just a long ass flight. And how fast are you flying?
That's the thing is, I don't know. Are you like Superman flight? Because he can do like the world in like a second. So
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't think that's not very plausible. I think flight, if you could fly, it would be sort
like
of
I have to flap my arms.
right. That's how you fly, isn't it?
Fuck that would suck. I take it back.
You're just gonna go magically, like
It'd be
jet
awesome
propel.
if you got a superpower and it was flight, but all you had to do is like pencil yourself and flutter your hands.
Yeah.
That would be terrible.
It would just take forever, and it would be really hard. You'd be out of breath. Like, oh God, this sucks.
You have huge muscular hands.
All right. Well, so what is one thing
I like this. Just random pop into your head questions.
you never want to do again? One thing you never, ever, ever, ever want to do again.
Oh, God. Eat seafood. What else is there? There's a lot of dumbass things I did in my life that I'm probably blocked out.
Not so much you shouldn't do again. You just don't want to do again.
Kayak down the river.
What's so bad about that?
To the last time, 2 times in a row were the fucking worst times of my life.
Because you got sunburn, or because
The first time I decided to take a flat bottom boat down a river that was fucking still apparently, and I had to oar the whole way down, and I had my legs spread out wide, and the entire inside of my thighs all the way down were like fucking burnt, like skin falling off, instantly burnt. That was fucking awful because anytime I walked or put my legs together, it was torture. And then the second time I told the story about how I put fucking cheap dollar store sunscreen in my eyes for like 8 hours.
I was
awful.
going to ask if you watched Jackass and tried to do some of those things. Like they inspired you, like, oh, Johnny Knoxville, I'll do that. I can do that. And then did you do any like crazy shit like that?
Mm-mm. I'm not built for that shit.
Oh,
No.
okay. All right. So
What
you're going
about
to
you?
say
What do you never
kayak.
want to do again?
Go to Atlantic City, probably.
Cool. I'm glad that's how we wrap this up. It was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's not Atlantic City that I have a problem with. It's fine. I mean, I'm sure some people, like, I'm sure that there's some people that live in Atlantic
warned
City.
you before we went that it was a shithole.
I'm sure there's some people that live in Atlantic City that just don't go to the casinos. And so maybe I should, so there you go. Revise this. Never go to a casino again. Ever.
Cool.
How's that?
Sure, that's good.
I also wondered because we were at the Hard Rock and it was massive. Like this is humongous, goes on forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every, I don't know, 10 yards or something, there's a window and then it's like, hey, this is, Tom Petty's guitar or, Lady Gaga's outfit. And I always thought to myself,
Jackson's
like,
toenail.
I was like, was that real? Because how do you have all of this? There's so much stuff here. You know what I mean? They could just have a guitar and it could say, this is David Bowie's guitar. And is it true?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't believe it. There's so many things, it costs like millions and millions.
And then it was late that night when we were gambling and we learned that Taylor Hawkins died.
Oh shit. Yeah.
That was rough.
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I didn't believe it at first.
I didn't either.
But what was I going to say? Oh yeah. And if it were really like, Petty's guitar, or they had like Prince's, they had all, like these incredible things, then I just feel like somebody's going to get pissed and they're going to lose $1,000 at roulette or whatever, smash that window and fucking take off with it, And so it's probably not real is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no more casinos, dude. No more.
Okay. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
Do you have a quick take for me?
Sunrise or sunset?
That's so lame. You can't use
your
one of
fucking question.
If you don't know the answer to that,
I know it's sunset,
motherfucker.
It's sunset.
It
you
is.
Love a good sunset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You said you had a shop hack.
Oh yeah. It's not like this craziest best shop hack, but I was having a conversation with somebody at the show. And so it reminded me, I think I've even mentioned it before, but it's if you have a customer that requires some TLC, then what we do here is we put it on the packet, we put it on the work order, and we use special tape and we call it TLC. And we also put it on the box. And so like we used to have a customer that had to ship like every day. Whenever we received an order from them, it had to ship by 3:30. That's when our UPS pickup is. And so I went to Home Depot and bought some PVC pipe, like 3 foot tall, stuck it in the box with a flag so that it stood out. And so my only point is that if you have an order that is requiring some special care, because let's say the customer, maybe they're upset or maybe there's just some special instructions and you don't want to mess this up, then TLC label the packet, TLC label the box, or even go so far as is to put like just a pipe in the box sticking out so that you cannot miss it. Because what that did was like it cued us. You can never miss it in the lineup. You're like, holy shit, that box right there, we got to get done. So it hits the UPS truck. And so that's my shop hack. It's just that, certain orders during the day are TLC, and don't just say, oh, I'll remember that has to ship. I'll remember that we should, communication gets tough when there's a lot of people, and label your stuff TLC. That's my shop hack.
Yeah. So I have one that was, we had a big freight shipment last week, and I had heard about this before and I put it off too long to get. And I tried ordering it in time and it didn't make it. It literally showed up a day after the freight shipment went out. But what we had to do is it was like 10 skids and I had all the boxes on, I wrapped them all. And then I realized after I got them all wrapped and done that I hadn't figured out what the actual weight of the skids was. Like, you know, different sizes per different everything. And it was just kind of a pain in the ass. And I called UPS and we kind of figured it out by like taking a box and weighing it and getting like a rough number for the whole thing. And then I talked to the UPS guy and he was like, well, it was T-Force is how they, you know, ship freight. And he was like, if it's got to be pretty close to what the actual skid is, because if it's not, they're going to charge you a fee for like reweighing, because if it's going on a tractor trailer, they have to have a specific weight, like legally, to drive on the road. So like if it's over, it's a one thing, and they'll charge you even if it's under. So like if you're just like, oh fuck it, like I know the heaviest pallet is going to be like 700 pounds or something, and you got a bunch of them that are a lot less, they're going to charge you again to like reweigh them, because they could have fit more stuff on the truck, you know, if it was. So they're going to charge you a fee if it's too high or too low. So what I ended up doing is buying a pallet jack scale. So it's a pallet jack with a scale built in. So you can like push it right into the pallet, jack it up. It tells you, okay, this pallet is 654 pounds. So you don't have to sit there and like figure out, weigh each box, put it on the pallet, be like, okay, the skid itself is 40 pounds or whatever. Nice. You can just load the fucking pallet, get it done, wrap it, do everything you gotta do, label it, put the jack in. It'll tell you exactly.
I want to say somebody told us about that once.
Brett did.
They messaged us or something. Who did?
Brett talked about it to us.
Brett,
I don't know if it's a chat group. Brett Bowden.
Oh.
I think it was in a chat group like a while ago. And I had it in my head. I was like, oh, I would love one of those. And then, I just didn't think of it.
How much was it?
You need it. I think the one I ended up getting was like $1,400. But I think there's one at Uline that's like, it's a lot more than that. But I ended up getting one on Amazon that was from like an actual like a freight company scale thing. And I just got it today. Like it showed up while we were gone, and I went out and looked at it. And it looks pretty sweet. So I'm excited to put it together for like future orders. But I think that if you are going to be shipping freight, it's a good item to have, so you can have more accurate shipping.
Yeah, it's not off. We get way more skids inbound than we do out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Typically we get a pallet or whatever we're getting and we print them, and maybe the customer picks up, or we courier and they don't have a dock kind of thing. But lately we have been shipping pallets out, you know, and
right. Me too. That's what I'm saying. We've been getting a lot more bigger orders, and I'm like, well, I better get this tool now, so when I need it, I have it.
Right.
But the other thing too is, like you said, you can get like pallets in from like SNS or whatever, because they're saving money on shipping it to you that way. But also UPS has ground freight pricing, so you can still ship a shitload of stuff on a regular UPS truck using ground freight shipping. So a lot of times you don't have to, but if it's something that's going to be like 10 skids or whatever, that's like half the truck of a freight truck. So it makes a lot more sense to ship freight, but freight's stupid expensive now. Like that shipment was like, you know, almost $5,000. So,
which you probably didn't have built into your budget.
I had a good amount of it built in because I kind of roughly figured it out with SNS at first. I was like, well, how much did it cost you to ship it here? And then we kind of figured that out. So I ended up charging the customer accordingly, but I did lose on it. I didn't charge enough.
Right.
But
yeah, that's tough whenever we're trying to, like when we quote an order delivered, you know, like we'll quote 1,000 shirts delivered. The price includes delivery. And we'll be like, okay, well, you know, what is it? First of all, your hoodies or the t-shirts or whatever, and we'll weigh one box, you know, and you'll guess. And I always round up. Of course, you do the same thing, I'm sure, because you're like, well, what if it's wrong? You know, you don't want to lose a couple $100 on shipping, but you don't even expect it to be like it is now, which it's gone way up. So, so yeah, I guess the last thing I know maybe this is a little bit out of order, but I forgot to mention, and that is Ryan Kasperian's here. He actually texted me and said he's checked in, and I said, uh-oh. And so he is.
Are you ready?
Yeah, you know, I mean,
Are you mentally ready?
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I came back on Saturday. One, I knew that I'm only good pretty much for 3 days of a convention lifestyle. And I just wanted to get back in town yesterday and then wake up this morning in my own bed and just prep for, just kind of the week. And so, yeah, I think I'm ready because he's been here before, he was here for a couple of days and now he's coming for a whole week. And so I know exactly what I want to work on at this point because we're actually a very different shop than we are when he was here last time. Partially because of him, because he, when he leaves, he gives you sort of like some homework, but also because we have a new press here. We've transformed how like our flow, and which wasn't related to stuff that when he was here the last time. He was only here for a couple of days, so we didn't have enough time to to get this far in. But so when he's here, he's going to see like, wow, this is flowing way better. It's cool. But we want to work on the thing that I really need to work on now. And so I asked this question to a lot of people at the show. Was like, where's your biggest time burn? Because ours used to be like in setup and teardowns, but now it's not. Our setup and teardowns are pretty good. What our biggest time burn now seems to be like incorrect ways that we send the files to Kyle so pre-press, I guess. Pre-pressed, by the time it gets to the press, we're messing up and we're not communicating correctly. And so all the information, in other words, isn't there on the screen. And so I want to get that. I think if we dial in our flow there and that the screens are always right and the screens also are always in the right place, we need to like tweak and fine tune a few of the roles here. And so he is fantastic at that kind of stuff. And so he's going to like, throw the gauntlet down or put the hammer down, or maybe none of those. Maybe he's just going to say, hey guys, I think it's going to flow a little bit better this way. And here's what we should do. And so I'm excited about that because that's sort of the last piece of the puzzle for this year. I mean, I know that there's always going to be stuff to work on. I'm not saying that then we'll be perfect or anything, but you kind of look, it's the way I do it here is I'm like, at the beginning of the year, the first quarter is let's get our shit together. It's slower now. Let's get ready and let's work on these projects and spend this money. Is your eye okay?
I'm not going to lie. Something seems to be wrong with my eyes. Can't seem to take them off of you.
All right. That's the shirt show for the week. See ya. Was that your, cause I didn't do the dad joke. Line. Yeah. Well, let me finish this.
I had to rub my eyes for like fucking 2 minutes for you to notice.
I should have kept going. I should have fucking kept going and let you do that. The last thing, I wanted to finish this thought. First quarter, we work on stuff. We get stuff in place. We get ourselves set for the year because quarter 2, 3, and 4 are so much more busier because I don't have time to work on that sort of stuff. And so I guess the last piece of the puzzle for 2022 is Ryan coming here and we're going to work on like streamlining that stuff, that pre-pressed to press sort of area. Yep. And also, by the way, I've spent enough money for now with our like rearranging shit and all that kind of stuff. And so I am just ready to make money. So the rest of the year, I just want to print shirts. I don't want to do anything. I'm like, hey, we did it. We're done. Start making like the list for things we're going to change next January, February. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at anyway.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Hey, shut up for a second. Dylan, did you know that trees poop?
No. Why?
Yeah, well, that's how we get number 2 pencils.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
Cool, man.
We'll end on that, right?
I'll see you later.
All right. Have a great what the fuck's for dinner?
I don't know. I haven't been home yet.
Call Lynn's and say what the fuck's for dinner. See how that goes.
That'll go over well. Hey, I haven't seen you in 5 days. What the fuck's for dinner?
Please, I'll give you $100 right now. Call her and say that. I want to hear it. Put her on speaker.
Nope. I'm not doing that.
All right, I get it. Well, it was great talking to you. It was great weekend. Well, longer than that. It was a great show. It was great times, great hangs.
Love you.
Can't wait to do it again. Love you too.
See you.